I've got to say thank you so much for coming along, because you could have been absolutely anywhere else but with me tonight, and I do appreciate that. So thank you. I did have a few more that was meant to be coming. Obviously, there's some people that want some value, and there's some people that show up and continue to show up for themselves. And I thank you, and I appreciate that very much. There's a couple of things that when I was putting this together that really come to mind, was that so many times in our life, we feel that we cannot be who we want to be, or who we really deep down inside choose to be, but find it, there's a block, there's something that holds us back from really engaging that true authentic self. And this only comes to me about 5 minutes ago. The greatest gift you can give to the world is to be authentically you. Now, I'd love to know, in regards to what that means for you. So in a second, I'm going to get you to come off mute, or at least some people off mute would be fantastic. I've just got some notes here to bring up, so I've got them with me. There's something that really I find with introductions is that some people bring up a lot of masking when it comes to what they portray to be, or what comes out of them. And what I mean by that is that they mask themselves, that they hold themselves back, or they put all these labels and names on themselves. I am, and then you fill in the blanks. I am a coach. I am a father. So all these things and these labels that we put on ourselves, yet there's an underlying truth that sits within yourself that you are denying within yourself, and you're holding yourself back from. And what I mean by that is, there's a core piece of you, and I know this because it's happened to me, and every now and then it happens to me. It happened to me this week, and I'll share that journey in a little bit. Is that we stop being the force in our life, and we stop being true to who we are, because we limit ourselves by the things that we hold ourselves back on, the things that deep down we class as our identity, our story, our beliefs, our values. And those there hold us back from what really at core self wants to be, wants to believe that we are, and we cannot express that. So this webinar, seminar or masterclass is basically about you finding what that truth is for yourself and being authentically true to who you are. And I know that some of you have worked with me in the past. Actually, all of you have worked with me in the past, and I thank you for that. And I want you to really engage into some of the parts that you hold back on, and what you want that authentic place in yourself to be and feel like. Now, when we come into setting some standards for our room and setting some standards for tonight, and setting some standards within your life, you have to start to think about where you are and what you want from your life, because no one else is going to be able to do this for you. You can tell me that it's the environment that you're in that is holding you back. You can tell me that it's your friend or your partner, or you can tell me everything outside of yourself, but the number one person in your life that is going to raise that bar and raise that standard for yourself is yourself. Yet we find it so hard to be authentically true to ourselves, right? We find it hard to come on a camera. We find it hard to speak our truth because so many times within our life that we've been told that we aren't good enough, that we were told to be small, to be quiet. I know in Australia here, we have this massive thing that is called a tall poppy syndrome. So if you get outside of yourself and outside of the people and environment that you're in, it pushes you down and holds you back from being the true, authentic self you want to be. So that you come back into the crowd that was comfortable. Yet every time that you're knocked out of that, there's someone there trying to chop you down, trying to make you come back into there because they're afraid that you are going to be so different, that you are going to be not their authentic piece in their puzzle, yet that's fulfilling them and not fulfilling you. So tonight's about getting outside of your head, getting back into your heart, believing in yourself, and finding the truth of who you are. Who's with me? Awesome. So I know I didn't ask to bring a notebook or a piece of paper and pen. If you have, that's awesome. If you haven't, that's okay too. We're just going to do this as interactive between us all. And the reason why I'd love to that is because it makes me know where to guide you, know where to direct tonight. Is that okay? So the mask. What filters do you put on, or masks do you put on a daily basis to that you are not being true to who you are? And I'd love some comments. I'd love to know. It's either in the chat or they come off mute and we actually have a conversation, because this tonight I'd rather this be about a conversation between you and I to express who you truly are and how to get that out of yourself to get the actions that you really, really want to have. Anna, hello.
Hi, hi everybody. I think because when you speak your truth, the thing is that a lot of people don't like to hear the truth. And so in order to kind of get through a day or kind of look like you're fitting in with society, you tend to hold back on the truth that you see and feel. But I'm kind of getting to a point now where that's on you.
Yes, beautiful.
Whatever I say, it comes from a place of love, and it's the intention is never to upset or offend. It's always to facilitate growth. And yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, because that's something, it's forgetting about what other people think of you and just being true to who yourself and who that is, without the intention. That is never the intention to offend. It's always the intention from love, that you want to be yourself and grow and be that true authentic self. Beautiful. Anyone else? I'd love someone else to share what masks.
So just Stu, so just the way that I mask that then is by avoiding people.
Oh, beautiful.
So I don't socialize very much. I go out, I do my work and I come home, and then I try and avoid situations where I'm surrounded by lots of people.
And so when you're doing that, it's a mask you have to put on so that, and you put on this mask so that you are avoiding something else, correct?
So what it is, the times that I have been out, and with other people and stuff, and I speak my truth. I just say kind of what the reality of stuff is, and then I'm told, oh, you're off your head, or you're just rude, or you're too much. And so with that feedback from people who live in their heads, I then withdraw.
Yeah. Okay.
So then I avoid those situations where I'm out and about with other people.
Because you don't feel good enough about yourself to be able to put yourself out there no matter what.
No.
Where else does this show up in your life?
Okay.
Thank you, Anna. And I knew I could go there with you, Anna, because we've got a great relationship. Otherwise, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So I thank you because I thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Because I wanted you to just be aware of where else does that show up and what does that mean for you?
Yeah. It's about putting your head above the precipice, isn't it? And that fear of being shot.
Yeah, 100%. Because it is a fucking scary place out there when you're
I know.
shot at a lot, and from people that you love or people that you're surrounded by. And when you can't be authentically yourself, you either hide away, you mask it, or you just put on a brave face for someone else or your family or whoever is in your life, so that you do not have to deal with it. And I know you're not the only one on here that's thinking that.
Yeah.
Am I right? Because I know other people are on here smiling, thinking that this is a place that only one person goes, because it's not. We all been there. There's always a place that is holding us back from being who we truly are, that we have to step out of that place to be more authentic to ourselves. And when we do, it takes fucking courage. Yet when we do take that courage and the world gives us feedback on the courage and not all the noise that's happening around us, that's when the real stuff happens. We write a book, Anna, like we take charge of who we are. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Can I say a little bit more?
Sure, please do.
And I think part of what I'm learning is, in fact, it's having the courage to seek out those that are more aligned with you.
Beautiful.
So an opportunity's come up for me to go out on Saturday.
Yes.
To some event thing, and of course my initial response, as it always is to invites to social things, was no, I'm too exhausted, I've got too many other things that I've got to do. And then I thought, well, hang on, this is a group of people that I haven't socialized with before. They're all there for the same kind of feel good thing. It's all about kind of being lovely and kind and stuff to each other. So I'm kind of thinking, well, that might be a safe environment for me to start expanding my contacts and stuff. And if I discover it's not, then I use a tool when I get home to get rid of the negative energies that I may have absorbed whilst I'm there. So sometimes it's about learning the tools to just sort of dissipate what came at you, to get yourself recentered.
Energy's a charge, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Energy's a charge. I mean that as in energy's like a battery, you absorb it you hold on to it. And when you choose to be able to release that and choose to not let that or not hold on to that because that's someone else's feeling or that's someone else's charge, and you connect back into yourself, that's when you align with yourself, you come like you center yourself, and within all the realms of that, so to speak, so that you're guided back to yourself. Beautiful. Thank you. Kate, did you want to say something?
No, it was just sort of just giving back to like knowing your own worth and what worth to give to people was something I was more concentrated on myself.
Beautiful.
And finding those people that are worth yourself.
Oh,
by knowing what to give people, by what they give you, and like who to keep in your circle. And yeah, I've gained a lot from that lately, and which has gained a lot of time and more time for myself. Because I've sort of put into place like who gives me what I can give them, or what I can give to them to give back. I don't get back, they don't get back from me.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I had a thing of not being able to ever say no.
You did.
But undoubtedly,
so
the only person I was letting down was myself and my family when I couldn't say no. If I always say yes, I was putting other people first before myself and my family.
Which is your number one value. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that. Thanks so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. To give a little bit of context to what Kate said, we met last masterclass I did, which was a couple of months ago. She was so afraid and scared. If you mind sharing, do you mind me sharing, Kate? So Kate was so afraid of actually even coming off camera. She was afraid of even speaking on camera or anything. So I really commend how far you've come. Within yourself, you're looking amazing. You're absolutely smashing it within your world. And and yeah, she's on a journey, a weight loss journey as well, which is awesome. And she's doing super well. So Anna, I've got to appreciate how far you've come as well, because I know where you've come from. I know the hurdles that you've had, and it's really, you're a shining light. You really are. So thank you. So masking yourself to be something that we are not, something that is going to hold us back from being who we truly want to be. This is a place where so many people live. So many people live there, and they live a 7 out of 10 life, and they hold themselves back from who they truly want to be. So it brings me to the inside job. Obviously, we know our thoughts and our beliefs and our values run 95% of what we do. And this is our subconscious mind. This is the subconscious mind doing all its work. It likes to delete, generalize, and distort down to about 128 bits of information at any one time that we're getting this information in, which is 2 million bits of information at a certain time. So where we are today is we are built upon our past. We're built upon the experiences of what we have done in the past, and we are built on all the things that happened behind us in the back door, and it's all coming up to right now where we are. So if I asked you who you are today, you're actually your past experiences. You're the beliefs and the values and the thoughts, processes come from way back here. And when we come from this place, we're not being in the now. Yet it's an inside job, right? So it's our thoughts, it's our beliefs, it's our values that bring us to where we are today. Yet all those thoughts and those beliefs and those values and the past experiences and the stories that we tell ourselves, the meanings of what the attachments are from the past experience, this goes all the way back to 0 to 7, which is the impression years. It goes in back further than that. And it can go back into past life as well. And this has been proven by a study done that had mice in it, that they got them and their generation after generation. It gets passed along through our generations to who we are, where we are. So the meanings we give something will play out in our life day after day, week after week, year after year, until we change the meaning, until we go back into the past and we look for the root cause of what was holding us back, the inside job. So I'd love to bring something to your awareness with, if we take a timeline, I hope you can all see this. We can all see it pretty good? Awesome. So we take a timeline and we go, this is now. This is the future. And this is the past. So when we are looking at now, right in this point in time, right in this space, this is where we are together right now, and you're sharing this life with me and with yourself and with the other people around you. And that's all we've got right now, is the now. Yeah, if we've got from the past and we've got our experiences, hope you can read my writing. You've got experiences, and then you've got your beliefs. You've got the meanings that you take from those beliefs and the experiences. Just got to remember which ones. And identity. Identity is the biggest one. What you think about yourself and what you believe to be true about yourself runs your subconscious mind, where 95% of the thoughts, the beliefs, happen on a daily basis without even you hardly knowing it. I'm going to ask you which foot gets out of bed first and which foot, and you have to think about it, right? Because it was subconscious doing all the work. Which foot gets the sock first? And you have to think about it. It's the subconscious mind running all those thoughts and the beliefs and the values and the patterns to be able to make that behavior that you call yourself. Yet we don't know 95% what goes on. So how the hell can we be authentically ourselves when 95% of what's going on is done by our subconscious mind? Like, that's the question. I wouldn't have a fucking clue, to be honest. But I just thought of it just then. I was like, well, how does that actually happen? What actually happens is the experiences, the beliefs, and it's the meanings we take from this gets trained, goes into the future, to the now, then gets positioned all the way from here. So it comes to now and it goes, I'm going to take the reference points from yesterday, from the day before, from all the way back to our childhood, bring them into the now, and we're going to play out. So we're going to play out what our parents thought of us when we were younger. So if you are thinking that your parents thought of you as a good boy, good girl, or if they thought you should be quiet and not heard, And then you think, and you wonder why you don't have a voice. You wonder why that you hold back from being your true self when it's screaming at you from the little tiny place inside yourself. I just want fucking out. I want to be seen, I want to be heard, and I want to be valued in this life for who I am. I want to be connected with the people and the being that I am enough. It's making sense? I see that Monica put in the chat what we learn from 0 to 5 shapes us and how we are now. 100%. 0 to 7 is the impression years, and with the impression years, it gets pressed upon you of what life should be. And then after that, we start to question it. We start to question, why can't I ride it? Why can't I ride a bike? Why can't I have that dessert? And we start to question everything. I've got a 9-year-old at the moment that questions just about everything. And I'm very fast learning, going, holy shit, it's because I've made all those things from 0 to 7 that way. Anna, I love that our whole education system reinforces the be seen but not heard as a child. And if you look at it, the general outlook on education for the last 100 years, I'm going to say 100 years, it's probably even longer. I'd love to know how classrooms have changed within that time. They haven't. We all sit in desks side by side, looking to the front of the room, or in a group of 4, and it doesn't change much at all. And the lecturer gets to stand up in front of the class. Monica just wrote in the chat, thing is, I'm undoing at 37 what I learned when I was 5. The brain is amazing. Oh yes, definitely true to that. It's the work that I do with clients, and we shapeshift the world that what we see within ourselves, and we undo all the lessons that we thought we had taken and the learnings that we've taken from the past, and we recreate, because there's a part of you inside yourself knows the truth. I just want you to hear what I'm saying there. There's a part of you inside yourself that knows the truth. Just some people decide to deny it. Some people hold back on themselves. Let fear get in the way. Let their limiting beliefs get in the way. Let all these experiences from the past project out into the future. The same thing we did last year, the same thing we did the year before, and the year before that. Is this making sense? Any questions? Cool. The statement here, what is your default? When someone triggers you, what is your default? What's that mean to you? Tammy, would you like to come up here?
Thanks, Stu.
Hello, Tammy. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great, thank you.
Interesting enough, my default is to fight. That is mine.
Awesome. Thank you for being honest, real, and true to yourself.
Thanks.
Where does this play out in your life?
In most areas.
So it's a fight. It's a struggle. Life is a fight for you. Is that what you're saying? And correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong.
No, yeah. I think, yeah, it is. It is. I think the only place it doesn't play out is in my own home, where it's
Safe.
my place. Yeah. Mm.
Love to know some other people's thought on what's their default. Monica, I should call you by your other name, shouldn't I? Would you like to come off mute? Would love you to come off mute.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, Zonti. How are you?
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, just the obviously default on here. I'm good. Yeah, big day. My background is early childhood trauma, and I spend a lot of time in social work, so I understand the imprinting. Yeah, trauma attachment's a wonderful, wonderful thing. My default can be fight and flight. It can also be freeze. So the freeze concept is to go with, which is what I was saying before, is go within. So I can at times then stop and I become really quiet, and then I shouldn't say I analyze, but I then potentially overanalyze myself. And then get to a point where I go, well, I don't know how to change that part of me, or I don't know what to do. So it then, I shouldn't say it manifests into something else, but I go in through that spiral of how do I fix myself, or how do I do something different, or how do I make something different if I don't actually have those tools, even though I'm aware and I have a buttload of awareness of what trauma and attachment does. And I've been through many seminars and all of those wonderful things. But when I'm in crisis and I'm having a moment and I'm really not okay, I can fight. I can stand and stand up for myself and be very vocal. But I can also then freeze and go, hang on a second, that's not me. That's not who I want to portray. That's not anything about that. And then I kind of go really deep and go, oh, hang on a second, where did this come from? What's happening for me? Why is this all going on? And then I go, okay, how do I change this? And then I go, that's when the freeze comes in. And I go, well, I don't have the tools to be able to do this. Even though I have a lot of knowledge, I don't actually have the underlying things that can help support to make the change out of it. So then I go round and round in circles.
Thank you for being so honest. So honest with me, so honest with yourself. That's more important than anything, being honest with yourself. If you need a help, or you need a hand, or you don't think you've got the tools to be able to regulate what's going on.
Yeah.
You said overanalyze and you said quiet in the same sentence. Quite interesting. So you've got a very noisy brain.
Sometimes I do, yeah. I grew up in a very interesting household with a mum who had bipolar, so things were always chaotic in many different ways. So it wasn't, yeah. So when I overanalyze, I go into, I guess, that bit of chaos around how do I organize what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. And that's where I overanalyze, because my understanding of feelings, and that is, I feel is quite stunted. Like I don't know how to verbalize what is in my body. And it's taken me a really long time to know that hunger and anger feel exactly the same, which is why people get hangry. And there's another two that kind of feel the same in the body. But when you're in the moment, I can't express that in the best way, which is why it goes internal, and why I then internalize it all and kind of implode internally, because I should know all this stuff, but I don't at the same time. Like I just don't know what to do.
I'd love to give you a couple of tips on that, if that's okay. You may already do this. When when the brain goes into either stress, fight, flight, or freeze, what actually happens within the brain is that it takes away from it, the blood goes to the nervous system where it needs to go. So if it's fight, then it obviously gets into adrenaline and gets ready to either to run, to be able to stand your guard. So the adrenaline is pumping to the places, and the blood is pumping to the places that takes away from the brain, so that you are not being more. So it takes away from your prefrontal cortex to be able to, where the prefrontal cortex is, it's like the irrational. It's taking the calmness, the peace, and being able to logically think about something in a way that is true to who you are, and is being able to. So what's happening in your brain and in your body is that blood and stuff is going away from your brain and into your body to be able to either freeze. Is the same. Freeze is very, very similar to fight. And I remember, I'd love to tell you a story. Many years ago, must have been about 15 years ago, maybe a bit more. I was in the kitchen making something, and then my partner was in the other room in the lounge, and I come around, it was all dark, turned off the light in the kitchen, and it's pitch black going to bed. And she grabbed me by the ankle, and all I did was just drop like that. Just like that. It was I didn't know it was a freeze mode, and I felt like I had no control over this. I did not understand it. I did not know what happened, and I'm like, I'm gonna be really fucking good here. I mean, as a guy that someone comes to attack the home, and here I am not being able to stand ground and fight. And that's something that's played out in my mind for a long time. It's like, holy shit, if that happens again, what am I going to do? Because as a dad, as a father, as a partner, you want to be standing there for them, to be able to hold them, to be able to support them and guide them, and to be able to be that strong person that makes you feel safe. As all ladies here, to make you feel safe. And that's something I struggled with for a long time, whether I could actually do that. And it's not until probably about 5-10 years ago, I started to see why. And it was because of things that happened in my past, that happened with my dad, and who my dad was and who my mum was, and realized that I didn't have a voice, so I thought that I couldn't actually stand up and fight. I could not stand up and fight and actually stand my ground and be strong in who I am. It's been a couple other times in moving forward from that space there. If I even went back further, it was when I remember at school, I ran away from the fight. It's like I was scared to even fight. Never been a fighter. Yet I fight every day for my business, and I fight every day for my clients, and I fight every day for my family. And it's something that if we can't stand and be who we truly want to be, and who we really deep down know ourselves to be, then who the fuck are we doing it for? So we've got fight, we've got freeze. I'd love to know if someone has the flight mode in them. Angela, hello and welcome back.
Hello, so sorry. I had to listen
It's
in
all
for a
good.
while. It's nice to see your smiling faces. My responses have changed actually over time, and I've had a significant degree of complex trauma. And yeah, I think I always used to have flight. I always used to just run to get away. But then over time, I realized having a lot of challenging dysfunctional patterns in the family, I probably more went into the fawn response, which is actually the newer one of, if you can't run away, if you're trapped and you're overpowered, then I get submissive and give them people what they want to remove the threat, because I don't feel capable of having a voice and being authentic, because if I challenge and back, I'm scared of my own fear and anxiety. So if I can't get away, I give them what they want so that they back off.
So you've got fear, you've got anxiety, you said a couple other things in there. What were they?
Yeah, I think it's mostly fear for me from, violence and things when I was young, and that inner child feeling and that entrenched nervous system reaction of survival response and fear. If you don't get away or appease, then your life is at risk. And I think, I think I probably went from flight into fawn as I got smarter at being able to think clearly how to fawn and how to manipulate. And then more recently, I've noticed the freeze response. And as I've been standing up for myself, I've noticed the fight response as I've had more courage to say, no, I can just stand and say what I want. And you can kick off and get angry, and I can get angry and match your energy too, but I'm standing my ground and I'm not giving in. So yeah, I don't like the anger and the fight feeling in my body, but I think it's not a bad thing to let your nervous system move through all of them, to then find the ability to feel all of them and be able to process them and release them and have choice in how you respond, I guess.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you all for sharing. It's interesting that we've got a fight, flight, and freeze and fawn as well. But there's some things that come up, which is fear and anxiety. Overanalyze. When the fear and the anxiety, what happens to the nervous system? That it's very, very similar. What happens when there's fear or when there's overwhelm? What we're taking away from is the ability to control who we are. One of the number one things that goes when we do this is our breath. So the first thing, if we can regulate our breath, and it's through from the stomach up through into the heart space, up into the throat, and make the sound when we breathe out, and then you breathe in again, and it's a deep breath. We're starting to regulate the nervous system. We come back into self, and we start to make the brain, the rational brain, the prefrontal cortex start to make the moves and the conditioning of what we want it to do and what's needed to happen within that time and space. Because realistically, if we are in a space of anxiety, or if we're in a space of fear, in a space of overwhelm, it takes about 7 minutes within this space to literally, our IQ will be gone by 80%. 80% of our IQ is gone within 7 minutes of feeling those feelings. Pretty wild, eh? Courage. What does courage mean to you? And where does courage come from? Any takers? Anna?
I think for me, courage is about just not quitting, not giving up. I was thinking about this yesterday, actually.
Please do tell.
Well, because I was thinking, thing is, I've never given up. I'm always kind of like, okay, what can I do next? What can I do next? How can I change this? And always striving to move forward. And then I went, but I kind of only do it periodically.
Ooh.
It's not something that I kind of like, I go, okay, I'm not giving up, I'm moving forward. And then I kind of go into a sort of a rest period. So I'm like, okay, give it time. I need to rest because I've put in all this effort to move something forward. And then time's gone by. So, oh, it's time for me to do that again.
Yeah.
And so then I did a little bit of self-beating up, kind of going, oh, but you need to be on it all the time. And I was like, oh, you know what? No, you've got to listen to your body. If you need to rest, girl, you rest. Patience, you will get there.
Good.
I don't care if I'm 80 by the time I get there. I just know that, you know, just don't give up.
Love that. That's part of your default.
What, the resting?
Both is part of your default. Remember that there's two sides sides to the pendulum. So when we think about the pendulum, and I've probably explained this before, is that take water, and it's the same thing, right? And it's cold over here and hot over here. And if we're really going really hot, we've also still got cold, but the thing that is the same is water. Is the ingredient is still the same. Same as you. You're the ingredient. You are still the one making the recipe if it's hot or cold. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that this is still part of your default. But which one takes charge?
So the other thing that occurred to me also was kind of thinking about the reason for it, or the reason for this need to kind of rest, particularly at the moment. So, do you know what? I've had pretty much half a century living in fight or flight mode with it, you know, chronic stress and all the rest of it. And it's like, and I'm now beginning to unravel that and rewind and sort of sort it out. And it's like, yeah, you know what, girl, you do need to rest because you've had decades of living in this state.
Stress.
And so, yeah, you know what? Yeah,
So
your body does.
Your body wants to be at
just
ease, not in dis-ease. Your body is being in dis-ease. I remember the first time you sent me a message after our first session, I think it was, and you said, I haven't had this amount of sleep ever.
yeah.
You had a broken sleep once in 2 weeks, as opposed to you hadn't had that in decades. You had a broken sleep for
forever. Yeah. I'm going back to having broken sleep, but not as often as it was.
Cool. It's something we'll shift. We'll shift that.
Yeah.
Love to know. Thanks so much for sharing. So not quitting and never giving up. What else does courage mean to you?
Choices.
Love that. Can you be a little bit more specific? What does it mean by choices?
Just the ability to confront yourself, or you know, your like basically within yourself, like your fears or your abilities, or
that is awesome. That is beautiful. And this is part of your default. And I know that you've ran this here has been running for a little bit, right? More so than the other default.
Yeah.
Tammy, what does courage mean to you?
Being unapologetically yourself.
Ah, love it. Man, it's a long word. When you mean unapologetically yourself, what specifically do you mean?
Just to live life as being who you are and not having to answer for it to others. And
What, who you are?
yeah, and I suppose not curving the edges just to please everyone else.
Not curving the edges to please everyone else. And that's part of your default. Two sides of the pendulum. Which one has the control? Monica or Angela, would you like to add anything?
For me, it's being your true self and having your voice no matter how you feel. So the more you're yourself, you're going to feel potentially fear if it's unfamiliar and uncomfortable, but it's moving through the discomfort until it becomes comfortable to be centered and strong in yourself, no matter how the outside world responds.
Beautiful. I love that. Can I ask you a question? You can choose to answer it or ponder it or think about it, if that's okay. Did you have a voice when you were younger?
Not naturally and comfortably. I would be silenced a lot, punished a lot, and then I would scream out of determination to have my say and refuse to be silenced. So yes, I would speak up no matter the consequences, but it never felt safe to do so.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Being safe to have a voice. Zonti, do you want to share anything?
Look, I'm almost tempted to say I actually have a lot of courage and a very, I guess, how I adapted in who I am and how I was, or how I came to be, was to be very black and white. So in my sense of courage, I would speak up, I would just say it and not really care about the opposite end of the effect of it, whether it be blunt or whatever. I over time have learnt to be a lot softer and understanding and more conducive in how I communicate. But if you were to put me up against my sister in many things, she has the inability to actually speak up and speak out, whereas I'm the first person. If something's gone wrong, I'm the one that you have to pull on my arm to say, hey, don't go over there and say something. I'm that person that goes, you know what, fuck it, this isn't right. I have to, same with jobs. Like I've lost jobs and then got up the next day and gone, okay, what's the plan? And had the courage just to keep going. And it's that going momentum that I've always had, that I guess keeps things at status quo, but then it prevents me from diving deeper within myself and understanding self, because I've got lots of courage and lots of out there and lots of whatever, but not really a lot of knowledge of how to be or how to, all of the other things that go along with it. Yeah. So it's the underneath stuff.
So
like, someone said, oh, yeah.
Some of the really thing is for you is the tools to be able to express who you are and move forward at levels that you want to be at. Is that
probably more as an adult? So I'm tempted to say I'm probably almost a lot like, I think it's Angela, where we didn't have a lot of safety in our house, but we also didn't have a lot of parenting, so you kind of did whatever you wanted to do. But I know within myself now, like I see someone doing something wrong against someone else, I'll speak up, where a lot of people won't go and intervene and say, hey, that's not right, or something like that. whether it be good or bad, I'm sometimes a catalyst point where people come to me and I go, you know, rather than saying, do you want my advice? I kind of give it, and I give them a blunt, obvious, very, you know, courage of maybe you need to hear this, maybe you don't, but it's going to land wherever it is. So I don't have an issue with some of that stuff. It's more the internal workings of understanding self underneath courage and going, well, I might have the courage to do that, but does that mean I'm actually being my most authentic self when I'm doing that, or am I just saying it because, you know, that's what I know is to be vocal and to, you know, not to actually feel into it, but to think it and say it rather than actually understand the yeah.
So you want to feel these things and you want to be able to express that, but from a feeling point. Is that where you're at? Is it just the tools that you're missing to be able to feel in the body of what's going on up here?
Yeah, kind of, but I don't, as I said, I don't have, like, courage is something that I've got. Like, if someone says, oh, you know, this is happening, this is wrong, I'll go, all right,
you're there.
let's deal with this, let's go, you know, let's
So
whatever.
Where does
Let's make
courage
it, you know,
not show up in your life?
yeah.
Where does it not show up in your life?
Courage. I'm almost tempted to say potentially in relationships, like there's not a lot of, yeah.
Because if you didn't, I was going to say it for you.
Yeah.
And the reason is just because of the conversation we've had. And
yeah.
we've had aware of that within yourself. So it's something about being comfortable enough to be your true self to get that relationship that you long to have.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I mean, I even had a friend years ago say to me, and I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before, but, you know, I rang him one day and he's like, how do you just get up and you bounce and you go, okay, I've lost my job. All right, cool. And you're, you know, kind of not okay for a few hours. And then all of a sudden you wake up the next morning and you go, all right, what's my next action? All right, I'm going to ring 5 different people, blah, blah, blah. He's like, if that happened to me, I would have been in bed for a week and so depressed and crying. And he's like, you just get up and go. And I'm like, sometimes that's having that courage and being that person is also not a positive thing either, because it means that I'm potentially missing the steps in between. I'm just automatically, all right, let's have courage. All right, let's just make life happen and work happen and all of this stuff happen. And that's great to have all that wonderful courage and going, all right, hang on a second. And someone says something to me and I go, even I do this at work now. Do you want me just to deal with it? I'll go and have a conversation with them. I'll, you know, whatever. I'm happy. I've got the courage to have those. But
brain, sorry to interrupt, your brain works at a very logical level. It's like this needs to be fixed, let's go. So that it's quite often you're in the masculine energy to do that.
Yes.
So when you're in your masculine energy, that you're actually and masculine and feminine energy is in everyone. And it's what needs to happen and how that gets to happen. And when you need shit done, the masculine energy has to be produced to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, where are you not in your feminine?
Where am I? What? Sorry?
What shows up, or where are you not in your feminine?
I probably haven't been in my feminine for a really long time. Like I'm, you know,
and you wonder why you're not having wonder why you're having problems in relationships.
Yeah, like it's the vulnerability and the safety and the stability that comes from being in that. And if I cannot find, I shouldn't say if I cannot find that, but if I don't feel that when I drop out of being this and who I am and how I've managed to have all this courage and be this person, if I drop out of that, where's the safety, where's the stability, where you know, who, if I fall to pieces, and I have, and I kid you not, you know, when my dog got hit by a car, I fell to pieces and I literally sat there and looked at my phone and went, who am I going to call and how am I, and I literally scrolled through everybody and went, I can't ring anybody, I've got nobody to talk to, because, you know, me being vulnerable is a really, really hard thing, but the courage to get up and just make life work is the strongest within myself.
Thank you for your honesty. So you find it more courage in your, not so much in yourself, but for others. That when you need to be vulnerable and actually bring someone that because you need help, doesn't happen. Remember having a conversation with a lady earlier on in this year. Actually, there's two stories I was thinking of. The first story that I was thinking of, and I'll just tell this one. I met a lady online about 2.5 years ago, and she was from a country called Yemen. Now, Yemen's a pretty wild country in respect to ladies, in respect to females. She'd never talked to someone outside of Yemen before. No one had ever talked to her. Yet I showed some compassion and just, she messaged or she talked or something on a post that I'd read or wrote, or and she just reached out to me and said hi. And so I started a conversation. I actually also voice noted her, and she was like, no one's ever, and I'm 45, I think she was. No one's ever talked to me outside of Yemen. I've never had an experience with another person outside of Yemen. I feel like I'm stuck and I'm trapped in my own body and in a place where it's not okay to be yourself, where political drama goes on, where the men rule the roost. So I voice noted her and I told her that whatever you say between you and I, you don't have to worry about anything else, and just know that your words are heard. And know that you can say whatever you like to me. And so she did. She actually wrote back and she said, I thank you so much, and for what you're saying, what you say online, and what you do. The reason why I tell this story is you never know until you try. Till you try to voice who you are. Till you say the things that you want to say. Because you don't know when someone's wanting or needing to hear that. It may be your friend, maybe your work colleague, maybe your partner, maybe your kids. Time's short. And you just don't know who is listening on the other side. So the things that you don't say, the things that you want to say, or the things you want to write and you don't write, because you're too afraid to be yourself and too afraid what someone else will tell you. I say, stop the horseshit. Stop the fear getting and controlling your life. Because deep down, you don't know who wanting or needing to hear you. And you holding back on being authentic to who you are and speaking your truth and speaking what you want to do and what you want to believe in and who that is for in business and in life and friends and in family and relationships. You're doing them a disservice. It's time to raise the standards. expression of who you are, expression of owning your truths, not fighting the fear, but actually doing it because of the fear, and even if it's there or not. What does expressing yourself mean to you? I'd love you to share. What does expressing yourself mean to you? Who's going to share? Angela, hello. Thank you.
On a few levels for me, like partly it's my own therapy. Like I like dancing and creative expressive things where I can express my emotions creatively and logically, you know what I mean? Just to process my own experience, I guess. The other part of it is communication with others and articulating my experience, my truths, my wants, my needs, my boundaries in a way that I can convey who I am in the hopes of being understood and requesting what I need. And
Beautiful. Thank you. What does expressing yourself mean to you, Tammy?
Very similar to Angela, actually. For me, there is two sides of it. One is very creative for me, and it's very personal and creative in lots of different ways. And the other side for me, I think now has been learning control.
In
On
what way?
in the way of not expressing out of fear, but expressing out of curiosity, I think. Because in most of my life, I would express out of fear because I felt that I needed to protect others, or I needed my truth to be known to everybody, and I needed to be the one that was heard the biggest. Where now I suppose I can sit back and go, it's not my job to be everybody else's expression and to protect everybody else from everything expression wise, and I don't have to have everybody else know mine all the time anymore.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Kate, what does expressing yourself mean to you?
One that comes to mind is self-love, like my outlet's music, and at the moment gym.
Anything else?
It's just taking time out. The self-love, taking the time out to do the things that make me feel
Taking a time out to make me feel
like good about myself, and like just
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Zonti or Anna, something you'd like you to add?
I think, I mean, all of the above kind of resonate with all of that. But I think, particularly with my, obviously, part of my expression is through my books that I write. And I think what that means to me is that, in the hope that it is going to help change someone's perspective of themselves and others in a more compassionate way.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Zonti, did you have something to share with that?
No, not really.
Cool.
I guess expression's not really something that I'm not saying that I can't grasp it, but I think we've spoken about this, about it being all surface stuff. So I do, you know, I express myself in doing things like yoga and going for a run and doing all the, you know, external stuff. But yeah.
So as you do that expression of self-love for yourself through yoga, through going for a run.
I shouldn't say I struggle in understanding what the concept of expressing oneself, you know, in the sense of, you know, is it paintings or you know, is it dance, like, is it how you're perceived, or like I'm not getting it, but it's just, yeah, maybe that's something that I struggle with as well, is how, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for owning that. I appreciate it. So to express ourselves in a way that feels natural, a way that feels congruent to who we are, that can be from dancing to learning control out of curiosity, to music, to gym, to taking the time to make me feel good about me. Expression is something different to everyone. It's a unique purpose, it's a unique sense of feeling for ourselves, and having that ability to be able to feel that within ourselves to our core when we do it, and just make it feel alive to us. It usually means a lot of time it's more than ourselves, like as in Anna's, when she writes, it's more about that she's trying to change a perspective, of someone else's perspective, but she does that through the writing expression of herself and her thoughts onto paper. I was looking at the time, and I know that we're an hour and something in, but we've got about another 10 minutes. Is that all right? Is that cool? Thank you. So the recipe to be authentically true to yourself is about finding a vision, finding a mission that's greater than yourself, something that you can hold dear and true to yourself, and to be able to authentically grow, authentically believe in who you truly are and express that to the world. Speaking your truth is finding the voice to be able to actually do that, no matter what the fuck has gone on in your past, no matter what has gone on in your experience of the world, or any meaning or any thought that has gone on, and to be able to voice that and who you truly are, to be able to come alive and express that vision for yourself and that vision for your life. Having standards that are greater than your fears and not letting them control you. And having the boundaries to be able to say no to others, to be able to say yes to yourself, trusting yourself, knowing that you are the one in control, that you have the faith in your ability when you say fuck yes to yourself and your vision and your mission, and to be able to speak your truth and hold those standards so high to yourself that you are going to grow and you are going to live in that authentic self. Georgina, I know you've just joined us and we're about 10 or 15 minutes to go. But I thank you for joining us. I do have a recording, so I will definitely send it to you. We're just going through the recipe, and the recipe to be authentic, true to yourself. So it's about finding the vision, speaking your truth, finding your voice within yourself, and be able to be who you truly want to be. Having the standards and raising that standards to know that you are the expression of who you are, that matches the vision, speaking the truth of what lies within you, no matter what's going on around you. And trusting yourself that you've got this. Your inner truth lies in every single one of us is a truth that we are at our core. We know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. We know that we are not going to be letting fear control us, letting fear overtake us. And it's finding this inner truth, this inner part of you. It's like a soul's mission. And embodying every single one of these things above it, taking a guided meditation. I take people through a guided meditation, which is awakening the soul's truth. This here will ignite the power that you have inside yourself to be authentically true to who you are, and reconnect to your soul and reconnect to your heart and your soul, which is aligning the parts of you to be able to create the vision and the mission that you see for yourself that is greater than yourself, and to be able to love and speak your truth no matter what has gone on, no matter what is in your... My camera's doing some wild stuff. It got me put off anyway, definitely. So becoming the person that you need to come to be able to create the vision, the mission, the truth that is you, and align to the part of yourself that is the recipe of being authentically yourself. I wasn't going to do this, but if it's okay with you, I'd love to share a pathway that you can work with me. Is that okay? It's something that I've been working on in the background for a little bit now, and a couple of people have actually asked me for in a lower, in a way that I can work with more people, and that is bringing more people together to be able to connect more with people individually, but also as a group, because as a collective we grow together. This is the recipe. This is the magnetic you.